Chapter 2.
I'm Erik Cargill.
And I'm Rachel Elnar, and this is Cheers and Tears.
Design Leadership Tales Retold.
Oh my God, Erik, our guest today is a powerhouse in design and UX, leading the charge as SVP of Experience Research and Design at O3, where she crafts top-tier user experiences. She also shares her expertise as an associate adjunct professor at ArtCenter College of Design. Her career is packed with wins, having built award-winning UX teams at FS Investments, SIG, Lincoln Financial, and Motorola. A former AIGA Philadelphia president, she spearheaded key initiatives like the in-house design movement and scholarship fund. Christine holds a master's in UX design from MICA and a BFA from Tyler School of Art. Originally from Philly, she now calls LA home, yay, where she hangs out with her husband and her adorable French bulldogs. Say hello to Christine Scheller.
And to hang out with you, too. Hi, friends.
Hey, Christine. How are you?
What's kicking? So good to see you. So
Great
good
to
to be
see
chatting with you. Yeah. Wow. I need Rachel to read everything for me.
I know. She has like that perfect narrator voice, doesn't she?
She really does. I'll never forget the first time I was in grad school, and they were like, we're going to do this creative jam thing and on a Friday night. And I was like, okay, here we go. And I log in and I just like, there she was on my screen. I couldn't believe my eyes and ears. Such a pro.
Man. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Well, Christine, the reason why Erik and I decided to do this is because we miss everyone. Like, we just wanted to connect and help people connect and know what's going on. So really the point of this podcast is what's going on? What the hell is up with you, and what have you been up to? That type of thing. So we really appreciate you being here. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into AIGA and where you were a leader and, what did you do? So, we just want a little background in terms of AIGA.
So I miss everyone, too, and I so miss AIGA and that golden era that we were a part of. I mean, it was just a really special time. So I'm from Philly. I've only lived in Los Angeles for 3 years now, a little over 3 years, which is kind of hard to believe, but I joined AIGA when I was in college, I think maybe at the suggestion of some of my professors at Tyler. And I remember feeling like a total outsider when I first joined because I was working, while I was in college, I was working at Motorola. I had like an in-house good job and was part of this team. It wasn't quite a design team. It probably would be called a design team now, but I remember going to events and everybody was working at agencies and working in studios. And when I would tell them I was working at Motorola, they were like, and this is like going to date me, but they were like, oh, are you like working on phones or like what does that mean to work at a company like Motorola? And, but I kept my membership and I went out to events and then I went into, moved into fintech, which was where I spent a lot of my career and, started building teams in fintech. Got Nick Prestaleo on one of my teams back in the day. Yes, fun fact. And it's funny, I hired him and then like literally, we just were talking about this the other day. I think maybe 2 or 3 months later, I got transferred to another part of the company. So I never even really got to work with him. He stayed back at the original team that I formed, but I was moved over to Lincoln Financial Group. But anyway, so I kept going to the events and, I was starting to make connections and meeting people, but it was Nick who really held my hand at an event where I didn't know anyone and he made inroads for me. And the next thing you know, I started volunteering. And then very shortly thereafter, I joined the board. And so I owe it all to Nick for getting involved in AIGA. And I'm sure there's probably a million people who have stories about Nick doing the same thing and being that voice, when in a room full of strangers, when, you might have, and I'm an extrovert, but I was probably awkward and he made me feel a lot less awkward. And I think that's something when I joined the board, I felt hypersensitive about for the newbies coming out and trying to find and cultivate community and making sure that they had a friendly face and a hand to shake. So that was my inroads. And that was probably, I think I joined the board maybe in 2008, 2009, sometime around that time frame.
When was your first leadership retreat?
It was Minneapolis. And I think that might have been maybe 2010, 2011 time frame. I had no idea what I was in for. I just didn't know what to expect at all. I was asked if I could be available to go away for a few days, and I was told it would be a ton of fun and that I should go, and it twist my arm.
Do you remember who was on your board at that time?
Alan Espiritu, I think, was just coming in to become president, transferring from Mary Beth Crater Whitesell. I remember them having kind of a like transfer of power, like conversations and talks. Nick was probably most certainly on the board then, Lauren Doherty. A couple of people who I think just probably transitioned off. Helene Kelsey was on the board. Kathy Mueller. There's a photo. I don't remember things very well anymore. And I remember photos. Like I remember a scene. And it's, I just recently was kind of going through, I went to Salt Lake City in December, and I was trying to remember if certain events happened at Salt Lake City retreat or were those Dallas. And I know they're like two totally different cities, but like over the years, I think just like the events just started kind of running together. But Minneapolis was really special. It was super fun. And truthfully, I fell in love with the people that I met there from the Los Angeles chapter and formed, a long-term across the coast, across the country friendship with the chapter. In fact, we did a lot of cross-pollination. I think we did social takeovers with each other for a weekend, but absolutely fell in love with the people of Los Angeles at those retreats.
Who were you working with at Los Angeles?
Probably Amanda. I think it was back in Amanda's day. I want to say she and I probably overlapped at the same. We were probably in president roles at around the same time, and so yeah, I remember some first names. I remember like an Allison, a Joy. You meet people and then they may roll off or transition off the board, and you don't see them again, but you just remember the experience and how much fun you had with them, and so. But Amanda certainly is unforgettable. I mean, we had so much fun together. And you too, Missy.
I don't remember doing any social takeovers with you, so I don't know.
No, but we had a lot of, obviously that's how we met, and it was, and formed this wonderful friendship. And so it was so nice to move to Los Angeles and know that I had an amazing friend here waiting with open arms.
Oh, so wonderful. So when you were talking about you looking at photos and you kind of don't remember which one it was, the same thing happened with me, Erik, and Amanda on episode 1, where we were looking at a photo of all of us at a bar, and nice. We could not remember which retreat it was. So we're supposed to use our brains, but we're getting older, so I think it's harder to remember which retreat it's from.
It's
and they all kind of look
so
alike.
hard.
Like you recognize all the people around it. And yet those people were at the last retreat. So, again, it's really hard to track.
Exactly.
But that's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, that means we were having so much fun.
And that photo was taken in a bar. So, all the, after program bar meetups, again, they just flew together.
It was always so fun to know that we were going to disrupt whatever city we landed in. Like the city had no idea that, 300 designers were coming to town and shit was about to get real. It was just, the promise of that was really, it was just so empowering.
What's the bar that we all made like a little, I don't know, runway for people when they were coming in to the bar? Do you remember, where was that? Was that Denver?
I think that was Denver.
I think so too.
Denver.
That was the best. It was the best to walk through it and then become part of it, right? The line kept getting longer. I think you're right. I think that was Denver.
Speaking of which, what was your favorite after program memory or something that you can recall that made a difference?
That made a difference. You just put a big twist on it. I think that the retreat that I probably think back to the most was probably Michigan, and the town is escaping Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids.
So right now there's a tally, and Grand Rapids is definitely at the top with all our conversations.
It's so, I mean, space. The hotel was off the charts, amazing, crazy, so much fun. We had a really funny situation the first night. So Lauren and I had like this big suite, and so we invited everyone to come, you know, like, let's have drinks before we go have more drinks and stop by our suite. And so that was kind of the party room. We had plenty of space. And so we left the door open and people were just kind of wandering in, and not many people. And we were at the end of a hall. So you sort of had to know where you were going to get to our room. And this woman just walks in, and she is lit. She's annihilated. She's got a fifth of whiskey in her hand. Did she have shoes on? Maybe she had shoes on. But anyway, she was looking for her phone. She had made her way through the floor and met a bunch of hockey players from, you know, a semi-pro team that happened to be in town. And she had a lot of fun with the hockey players, and they had a curfew and they had to go to bed, and they got in trouble, and she got kicked out of someone's room but could not remember where her phone was. So... and had no way of getting home, had no way of communicating with anyone, had no way of getting anywhere. Her name was Monica, by the way. So, Monica. That? Yeah. I mean, let's just say that a bunch of us are Facebook friends with Monica. So, you know, the memory of this day will never be forgotten. So Monica is spending, you know, some time in our room, suggests to us that we should go visit the hockey players and hang out with them. And so, you know, I think we had different motivations that night. Like, we were not on the same page with Monica, and she had many more drinks. She was many more drinks ahead of us. And so a couple of us went down and knocked on some of the doors to try to get her phone back. And, you know, and they were like, she's got to go. Like, we already got in trouble once. We're going to get kicked off the team. We won't be able to play. Like, she has to go away. And so I don't remember if she got her phone back. I want to say that Chris Bioni drove her home because he had a car. He was the best to travel with because he always rented like a huge SUV, and he threw us all in there, and we always ended up skipping sessions. And you know, I remember we were in Salt Lake City. We ended up at Sundance by accident one day, just driving around. I'm like, oh, we're at Sundance. Like, he always made things so fun. He was great. And so I want to say he drove her home. And, but anyway, she made our night. So the next night this is kind of a racy story, but we're here. So we're going for it. The next night she was at a bar. We were at a bar. I think we were at Founders. And I remember we were hanging out with Doug Stuckey and a couple other people, and we were telling this story of her and how and her name is Monica, blah, blah, blah. And we were just talking to some locals, and the one guy goes, hold on a second, I know Monica. He's like, let me look at her picture, because we took pictures with her. And sure enough, he did remember her. It was her. I'll have to see. I have a picture. I'll show you guys. Apparently, he had spent the night with her the night before, and while they were hooking up, I can't believe I'm telling you guys this story. This is according to this guy. Her phone rang, and she goes, hold on a second. Shh, it's my fiance.
Oh my God.
I swear to God. I swear. Oh, Monica. So the fact that like other people in Grand Rapids knew Monica just makes that story even more hilarious.
So this girl wanders into your room and you're taking photos with her?
Well, sure. I mean, we had a drink together. She was fun.
If I remember this correctly, were you doing pyramids in your room?
We were not doing pyramids. That was not a room for pyramids. There was a room for a lot of other things, but pyramids, not so much.
Because I know, you know, you described the room as like at the end of a hallway, and I remember going there with Gage. Pyramid time, right in the middle of the room. And then the front desk started calling.
Oh.
The front desk started calling, and Gage and I got out of there. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys, I remember like how grand the stairs were there. Like, it was a really thick, lush green carpet. And so I thought at one night it would be a great idea to ride down on our butts. And I managed to convince others. And it wasn't just like a straight shot. It was winding, like wrapped around. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That wasn't really my best idea or my finest moment. Yeah,
Honestly, like I do remember people getting kicked out of rooms and security coming up and us having parties and like what?
yeah, we were kind of assholes, really. When you look back on it, like I would not invite me to my house back then or to any of these parties. I mean, yeah.
It's something about the community that just we got so activated and so excited to be around each other. It was like limitless. Like the possibilities were limitless.
That's putting so much polish, maybe a little too much polish on the framing. I like where you're headed, but I don't know that we were that mature. But you're right. I mean, it really was so exciting. I mean, so many incredible memories, so many wonderful people that I've met over the years. I mean, I just feel like I could pop into any city in the country and say, I have a friend here that I've met years ago and stayed connected with. And I don't know that there's another organization or function out there that is doing the same thing. I mean, it was like lightning in a bottle because we were in it at just the right time. We started to see things slow down. I don't know that they still do these kinds of leadership retreats anymore. I mean, Rachel, you would certainly know being on national, but we were part of a special era. I mean, I think we should do a documentary about it. It was really wonderful and special. But we were also doing things to really help advance the profession. And I just don't see, designers coming together in that same way in any other form right now.
All those experiences that, of course, there was a lot of fun experiences, a lot of networking, but it wasn't all just, I mean, it was all fun. Let's be serious. But there were times to sit and organize and learn some stuff and pass on knowledge. Are there any specific instances that you can think of where you picked something up that you still use today, or is it?
I'll tell you there's a couple of those stories. So the one big thing for me was, again, I'd spent most of my career in-house. And I remember attending a session that Andy Epstein led. And I don't know if you guys know Andy, but he's like the OG in-house guru. And I felt for the first time that I really felt like seen and heard and understood. And I hosted our first in-house design conference, and Andy came and spoke and was our moderator. I think, did he speak or was he our moderator? I might have brought him both times. Anyway, he helped me understand that there was a community around in-house, around designers working in-house, and that we had a different set of challenges, and that we had communities built into our own chapter that probably had needs very similar to mine, and that there was a lot of opportunity to tap into that. And so after attending his session, I stayed connected with him and then launched our in-house initiative. And that was, we did, small scale programming. So we would do, kind of like open house, like studio tours at different in-house organizations. We looked at our membership directory and said, like, we have people at the Franklin Institute. We have people at Lincoln Financial Group. We have people at this other fintech company. Let's start going to visit and see, like, what does a day in the life look like for their design team? What's their studio space look like? How is the team structured? Who did they work with? And so I learned that from Andy. And then, so we started out with that, and then we did like small, group meetups. We hosted a gallery exhibit of in-house work at Space when we had the gallery space in Old City in Philly. And I remember people just walking in and being like, what are we looking at? First Friday gallery, like very fine art based. And they're seeing like corporate design on the walls and just couldn't understand it at all. It was a lot of explaining going on that night. And then ultimately it bubbled up to hosting our first in-house design conference. And we sold out in a matter of a couple of days. We brought in Alex Center, who was still at Vitamin Water at the time, and he talked about his work. And Will Gay closed us out talking about his experience being the creative director at Disney. But we got access to all these people through AIGA. And so I remember going on to the wiki, like, who can we tap into this in-house community? And of course, Andy was a big part of that day too. And we brought some local folks in as well. But that was such a spark that I got out of just a little in-house breakout session that turned into something so much bigger. And I have so many little stories of things like that. I mean, we learned about the scholarship fund that the DC folks, Diane Holton and others, were running, and so brought them up to do some training with us. I think we learned about that at a leadership retreat. I don't know if you remember the Has Heart folks, Tyler Way and his wife Kendra, and so they spoke at Grand Rapids. They talked about how they were partnering designers with veterans to help visualize their story, to tell their stories. And so they embarked on this, state by state journey and made a pit stop at every state in the country and just picked a city. And then they, camped out locally. They had an Airstream trailer that they were traveling in. And so we actually brought them to the company that I was working at the time. We were their Pennsylvania sponsor. And it was just so cool to bring someone from our design community, Neha Agarwal, who was a former AIGA Philly member and board member in Pittsburgh, partnered her with this veteran. She's still active. She works for the Navy, and we did just really awesome work together. It was really fun. So many little spokes of learned this at a breakout session, or I think in that case, the Has Heart folks presented to the larger room, but so many wonderful ideas for programming and connecting with community came out of those retreats.
Yeah, agreed. Same thing with me. I was just hearing some snoring just now. Is Fonz nearby?
Oh, were you? That's Ralph.
Ralph, really?
Should I move? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was wondering what that was. Is that like a motorcycle that keeps going by?
Should I move him?
No.
Should I move him out of the? No. He's totally dead asleep. He's like dead weight too. We thought our first Frenchie Fonz was loud. This dog is so loud. He's 10 times. Yeah. So sorry about that, everyone.
No.
Hopefully it doesn't lull people to sleep.
So what are you up to now? What you doing?
As you shared in the intro, so I moved out here 3 years ago, said to the owners of the company, I work for a customer experience, digital experience consultancy back in Philadelphia. And I said, what would it look like for me to be in Los Angeles? And they were like, oh, we've always wanted to grow and, maybe establish some roots out there. And so we kind of moved. So during the pandemic, I fell in love and got married. And, got married after we got out here. But yeah, we just decided to pack up and see what it would look like to move across the country. I've always wanted to live on the West Coast. Actually, I have to give proper credit to Debbie Millman because I did a workshop with her in person in 2019 at a yoga studio where, it's her design journey program that she repurposed for Milton Glaser. And I just kind of committed to paper this life that I wanted to live, and then I put it away and never thought about it again. And she's so spot on. I mean, 90% of what I committed in that journal came true, and that was to be living somewhere on the West Coast, to be somehow connected to an agency. I think I was running my own agency, but a little bit of a different story. Teaching, which I'm doing at ArtCenter. This is very specific, but married to someone very similar to the bearded version of John Hamm, not unbearded John Hamm, but bearded John Hamm. Which John Paul is really cute, and he has a beard, but doesn't really look like John Hamm. But he gets a chuckle out of that one. But there are all these other things, and so anyway, made this big leap, and we thought we're just going to try it out and see how it fits. And then the next thing you know, I'm selling my house in Philadelphia and we're buying a house here in the San Fernando Valley. And I was just telling a friend today, I'm like, I think we're in our dream house, but it's a little bit outside of where I want to be living. Rachel knows we've had this discussion. So having a little bit of a hard time finding community where we are. We're in the San Fernando Valley and it's just, it's very suburban and kind of quiet here. But love our house. We have wonderful next door neighbors, and I work from home. So most days I'm working from 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. And then on Mondays and Tuesdays, I hop in my car. We haven't done it because we've been remote, but starting Monday, we'll be back. I hop in my car and I go teach at ArtCenter in Pasadena. And so I've been teaching user research there for just about 3 years now, which has been incredibly rewarding and fun. And what a wonderful school and such a gift to be able to teach there. And the students are so passionate. They care so much. They work so hard. It's just such a privilege to teach there. And then this term, I just took on a new class. That's a sponsored class with Cedars-Sinai, and we're working on helping for solutioning on advocacy in cancer screening.
Wow.
And so it's connected to social impact, and so I have a really wonderful teaching this with someone who's got a lot of experience with social impact, Joshua Halstead, who's been an incredible partner, and we're co-teaching this class, and so it's so wonderful. So it's been a balance of working for our consultancy and then teaching and making some time to have some fun in there too. But loving California. I mean, I feel like I'm still a tourist here. We're constantly.
You always show up with photos of going to Universal Studios. Here she is in Huntington Gardens. She's at The Price is Right. I mean, she's everywhere. Every weekend she's somewhere new.
I know, we're doing the things. We're having a lot of fun.
I love it.
Just last weekend. So I think maybe this is where I got sick and had to reschedule this recording. But we went to see Public Enemy last weekend on Saturday night, which was amazing. Such a great show. It's been on my bucket list forever. And they're not really playing many shows. And I'm like, they're playing out here because I think Chuck D lives out here. So that was the right place for us to be with all the chaos happening in the world. I was so happy to be with people who are advocating for all the right things, who kind of restored my faith in humanity a little bit and insanity. And they were also just really fun. And so I quit social. I quit Facebook and Instagram, and I've been following them on Blue Sky. And just want to throw myself a little piece of excitement. It's just made my week, but I quoted at them, I posted pictures and said, I had a great time, blah, blah, blah. And Flavor Flav shared my post, everyone. So I feel and Flavor Flav and Chuck D followed me back on Blue Sky. I have 25 followers, and Flavor Flav and Chuck D are part of that. But anyway, that would only happen out here. I mean, there's a lot of things that were only in Los Angeles, do you become neighbors with Kim Gordon? And then apparently Shepard Fairey was our neighbor, and we didn't even know it in our old house. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the country. And you just have access to so many amazing things from an art and music and culture and food. There's just so much to do. I think I long for Philly. I feel like my community is probably still in Philly, and I'm still very much connected to the city, and I'm fortunate to still have great friends there, but I feel like I've maybe outgrew the city a little bit in some ways. You could go from one end of the city to the other in a day, no problem. Or I lived in Northwest Philly and worked in Southeast, so it just kind of cut through. And when I was commuting at my last company, I could stop off in any neighborhood and see people on the way, but here, there's just still so much to do, and there's so much we haven't really explored yet. So I think I'll probably be a tourist here for at least a couple more years.
Wow.
Not more. Yeah, totally.
At least a decade. There is a lot of restaurants for you to work through. There's a lot of experiences.
I think that's probably true. And just thinking about what we would call the tri-state area back east, being close to New York and being close to DC and Maryland and, Baltimore and Delaware, Delaware is a state, being close to all those things, we have that here in different ways. And so, Vegas isn't that far. San Fran isn't that. I think I've been last year I went to San Fran 4 times, never really spent time in San Fran, but I was there 4 times last year for various reasons. But there's just access to so many other things, even in, outside of the city proper too, and so many other states and cities nearby.
I'm missing out.
I'm sorry, Erik. You might have to relocate.
Yeah.
He's not that far. I mean, he's in Seattle.
I'm not too far.
Yeah, you've got that too with Portland. I mean, what? Yeah.
Yeah, Portland
right? And
is
Oregon,
fairly
all of
close.
Oregon.
Driving down to Portland anymore you want to schedule for it. I like taking the train down there because I can read or do work or do whatever, and then once I'm there, find my way around pretty easy.
Yeah.
AIGA Portland is doing some amazing things right now, by the way. They have a pretty active chapter. They're doing design weeks. So it's great to see, communities starting to.
Their design community is pretty solid. When I moved back out here, I wanted to live in Portland, and I was interviewing, and what everybody was telling me at the time is they were, just do freelance, which I was open to, but I ended up getting a job here in Seattle.
I do have to give a shout out to AIGA Los Angeles. I mean, I don't know what it was like before I got here, but the chapter is super active and engaged and doing really an excellent variety of events. Really awesome community, and everyone even the social events that we've been to, everyone's been super friendly. Even when Rachel and I might be like really picky and meticulous about trivia.
Design trivia, come on. You better check your sources there, because we corrected just about every question they asked.
Did
we
you
had
really?
edits too.
We weren't the kindest guests at that event, but
No,
we were accurate. We were right. They needed to correct.
I think that the AIGA LA is really trying to do something, bring people back together. So I applaud their efforts for sure.
They're doing a fantastic job. Yeah, they're doing an amazing job. They deserve a big round of applause.
I know that there's been some people trying to stoke the fire here in Seattle, but we'll see.
Why don't you throw your hat into the ring there?
Yeah.
No. I because of AIGA, I have a lot to be thankful for, and certainly that does speak to me. But
I'll feel forever grateful to AIGA too. I mean, I think it's just
for sure
transformed my career and my community and how I connect with people. Yeah, and there's so much that comes that I don't even know where to start, quite frankly.
So amazing. I know a lot of people have groups of friends that might be 5, 20, 100 people, but it's crazy that we have this shared group of friends that's probably north of 1,000. Like
I
name
think
off
that's
names.
right.
I don't remember them all, but we are all aware of each other. They have changed the industry in some ways. We've seen them as interns or designers when we meet them, and then they're VPs of creative nowadays. It's so amazing to see everyone sort of grow and expand and really make a difference.
Goosebumps. It's all the feels, right? It's all the feels. Oh my gosh, yes. Doug Stuckey too was another one. I know I mentioned his name already, but man, talk about just good vibes, good people. I feel like there's times in my life where he's been like my personal hype man. Like he's just been such a great advocate for all of us, I think. I've always adored Doug. I mean, he was just so much fun. And Doug and Nick together were a fun combo. Would you guys consider interviewing two people together? That would be interesting.
Oh boy, that would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
I mean, they would probably take over our podcast.
It might.
It could, but they could probably, when we're having old people brain farts, they could probably fill in some gaps too.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah,
right?
most definitely. Yeah. Well, I love what you're doing now. I know that I was, making fun of you for doing all the things and doing all the talks and podcasts and stuff. But honestly, it's a lot of community building, Christine. You're still keeping people together. You're still teaching. You're bringing everybody into either it's a live stream or a class or whatnot. So just thank you for that you are constantly doing that from wherever you are, whether it's, in person or it's from your home. It's great to see that you're still out there
so
and
nice.
bringing everyone together.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's really sweet.
And you're also helping out veterans like myself trying to get their footing after a long time.
Yeah.
It was very helpful.
Tough.
I appreciate it.
I'm so glad. I'm always here. I'm always happy to help. It's a tough, we're in a tough spot right now. I mean, design is changing. The market's changing. what designers need to be skilled in and do and the value that they bring to companies is totally different than it was 2 years ago. So I see it because we work with a lot of companies, and I get to kind of see what the structures look like and how companies are prioritizing and valuing and thinking about design and the effect that AI has on what we're doing. I mean, everything is just changing. So I feel fortunate to be where I am and to be able to help others when I can. So that's an offer to anyone.
Yeah,
I'm on ADP list. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a Calendly that's always open. I'm always happy to chat with people if I can be helpful.
Yeah, and thank you for that.
you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
This is great talking to you and catching up.
Likewise, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Just want to say cheers to Christine. Thank you. Cheers.
Seltzer cheers. I know. A little too early for anything else for me.
All good.
What are you guys drinking, by the way? Was it just
I'm
water?
having sparkling water with a little bit of elderflower syrup in it.
I'm
Just
having
nice and sweet.
chartreuse.
Nice.
Drinking.
Is that really?
Yeah.
Amazing. That is so specific. I love
Friday
it.
evening,
Amazing.
that's what you got to do.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
gotta,
Yeah.
I'll be in bed at like 8:30.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Christina. I know this is a late time, but really appreciate your time. And I hope that Ralph had a great nap.
Still asleep. Fonz
If you
too.
can hear him.
Sorry.
Rachel and I were trying to hold back our laughter. And you were just
you could
talking
hear it.
like you're so used to it. It was
literally-
pretty funny.
It's like sleeping next to like an airplane taking off every night, and he has to sleep on top of you. He's really loud. But yeah, I just work through it. But I'm
It's
sorry.
cute. Oh, please.
Yeah, I love it.
It's very adorable.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you. All right.
Thank you.
Have a good
All right.
night. See ya.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Good night. Bye. She's great. Yeah.
She is great.
I just, I mean, it's almost tear-inducing. It's like it's overwhelming how supportive and wonderful all these people are. And it's nice to be able to just kind of pick up almost where you left off. I know that's not really the case here, but there's a friendliness to it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah.
Well, it's great because when you're around 300 people, there's no way to dive deep. So it's great. I'm glad that we are doing this podcast because we can dive deep and see where, what the effect was from all these interactions and also to see where they are now. So
Exactly.
it's good catch up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erik. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.